you could just state for the camera your full name and the correct spelling, sir?
My full name, Colonel Peter Baumgarten. It's spelled B-A-U-M as in Mike, G-A-R-T as in Tom, E-N. Hometown, El Paso, Texas.
All right. Thank you, sir. And your billet, sir?
I am the commanding officer of 1st Marine Regiment.
And how long have you been with the regiment, sir?
I've been with the regiment about 19-20 months right now, so I've been in command just over a year and a half. June of 2012.
What significant event is about to take place here?
We are about to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the 1st Marine Regiment. The 1st Marine Regiment came into existence in 1913 on November 27th as the 2nd Advanced Base Regiment. So we saw this coming for the last 6 or 8 months. To celebrate the anniversary on the 27th of November 2013. We were operationally committed in a training exercise at the time, so we scheduled the event to occur at the beginning of this year.
So, and why is it important for the Marines, both past and present, to recognize this event?
The 1st Marines obviously is one of the first regiments to come into existence in the Marine Corps, and it's one of the first regiments to celebrate 100 years of existence. And we thought this was a great opportunity to look at the past history of 1st Marine Regiment and to try to connect our Marines, current, present day, with their past and the legacy and traditions that we've had in 1st Marines over those first 100 years.
Yes, sir.
1st Marine Regiment came into existence as the 2nd Advanced Base Regiment in 1913. It was not employed in World War I, but it did participate in a number of campaigns in the Caribbean during the interwar years in the 1920s and early 1930s. 1st Marine Regiment became famous in World War II when it first operated on Guadalcanal in 1942, and then subsequently in the Battle of Peleliu and the invasion of Okinawa in subsequent years. It went on to further fame in the Korean War, which I think most Marines realized that 1st Marines came across at the landing at Incheon and then was made famous at Chosin Reservoir as they held open the door, allowing 5th Marine Regiment and 7th Marine Regiment to retrograde to the sea. 1st Marines' legacy continued on into the Vietnam War, where it continued to operate over a number of years and was actually the last regiment in the Vietnam War when it redeployed. I believe it was in 1973 under the leadership of the future Commandant of the Marine Corps, General P.X. Kelly, who I had a phone conversation with a short time ago, who talked about bringing the colors back from Vietnam as the last regiment in. Post-Vietnam era, 1st Marines was not all that active as there was a time of lull. I think in the Marine Corps, the next big event was the employment of 1st Marines in Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm in 1991, when 1st Marines was employed as Task Force Papa Bear in the liberation of Kuwait. Ultimately, 1st Marines then participated in all the campaigns in Iraq, Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Enduring Freedom, making multiple deployments to Iraq, and making a single deployment to Afghanistan in 2011 into 2012. 1st Marine Regiment will be returning to Afghanistan within the next 30 days to participate in the final campaign, being employed as Task Force Bella Wood at Camp Bastion Leatherneck in Helmand Province. Perhaps the most famous individual in 1st Marines history is Lieutenant General Chesty, who served in 1st Marines as Colonel Polar both in World War II and the Korean War. In World War II, he was famous for the employment of 1st Marines on Peleliu in the invasion, in which there were significant casualties. I think the casualty rate for 1st Marines during that battle was over 50% of Marines either killed or wounded. Then ultimately, Chesty Polar, after World War II, came back to command 1st Marines during the Korean War, both at the landing at Incheon and again at Chosin Reservoir. Chesty Polar remains one of the living legacies of 1st Marines. In our CP, we have a huge picture of Chesty Polar with all his decorations and all his ribbons right at the forefront of the command deck to let everyone reflect on the importance that he's had on this regiment.
Okay, so what do you think connects the past Marines with the Marines serving with it now, sir?
One of the goals in conducting a 100th anniversary celebration was to try to engage today's Marine within the regiment with all his predecessors who have served in the various campaigns. So we've extended an invitation to every Marine who has served in 1st Marine Regiment, whether it's the distance past, Korean War, Vietnam, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, or even more recently in Operation Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom, to come and join us for a couple days of activities where they can engage with Marines of today. I think the Marines who are currently serving in the regiment today have come in during a time of war and have been very focused on mission requirements in Afghanistan. And to some degree, because of the focus on Iraq and Afghanistan over the last 10 years, I'm not sure if today's Marines are as conscious of the history that's preceded them in the Corps, especially in this regiment. I think all the Marines at 1st Marines realize that Chesty Puller was a regimental commander at one point in time, but I don't think many of them understand some of the important history of 1st Marines. So we're hopeful to get members of 1st Marines and the battalions that served with us in Korea and Vietnam, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, to come and interact with our Marines over the course of the events in a couple weeks.
Here you go, sir. And can you just give us a rundown of what events are planned for the celebration, sir?
We have planned a number of events for the 100th anniversary celebration. First and foremost will be a Battle Colors rededication ceremony that will take place on Friday morning here at Camp Horno. That's the opportunity for all the Marines, past and present, to come forward in a traditional ceremony to recognize and honor the colors of 1st Marines in all the campaigns we participated in. At the conclusion of that in the morning, we will then have Camp Horno open to all the Marines, their family members, friends, and interested personnel who would like to come and see what the Marines of today are doing here within the regiment. We'll have static displays, command post visits, barbecues, interactions with today's Marines and yesterday's Marines. We hope to rally together again some of those Marines who have served in various campaigns. It'll be a little bit of a reunion. We've invited some of all the former commanding officers of the regiment to join us, and we will actually have a few that are going to come here and make the trip to spend some time with the Marines in today's regiment. After the events on Friday, on Saturday morning, we will hold a memorial service at 0900 in our new memorial garden that's adjacent to Camp Horno, to take the opportunity to reflect on the Marines within the regiment in its first 100 years who have given their lives and the ultimate sacrifice to their country. And then on Saturday afternoon, we're going to have our 100th anniversary ball at Pechanga Casino and Resort in Temecula, where we're going to pause and reflect on 100 years of tradition at 1st Marines in a formal environment with the headquarters company of 1st Marine Regiment and any guests who would like to join us.
Here you go, sir. As the commanding officer of the regiment, sir, what would you like your current batch of Marines to take out of all this interaction with past veterans and so forth?
And my desire is for the Marines of today within the regiment to get a sense of the honored 100-year history of 1st Marine Regiment. I want them to understand the legacy that they're a part of. That these events that occurred in the past, these battles, these campaigns that Chesty Puller led, or some of the famous Marines within the regiment fought in, they are a part of that history. And that history continues today. And as we step off as the last regimental headquarters to go into what will amount to 13 years of war, that each one of the Marines within the regiment is a proud owner of the legacy and tradition, whether it started in the Banana Wars when the regiment was only 10 years old, or it's now 100 years later and we're fighting in Operation Enduring Freedom.
So, what do you take pride in being the commanding officer of this regiment, sir?
Well, I take pride in the Marines and their actions and their activities today. We have probably one of the brightest groups of Marines that I've ever encountered. Tremendous NCOs, staff NCOs, and officers who are absolutely committed to accomplishing the missions and the requirements, whether in combat or otherwise. We continue to send battalions forward on Marine expeditionary units in the Western Pacific. The regiment actually has 2 battalions of its 4 that are deployed right now. 1st Battalion, 4th Marines is deployed in the Western Pacific with the 13th Marine Expeditionary Unit, and then 3rd Battalion, 1st Marines is deployed as part of the unit deployment program on Okinawa. We have another battalion that's preparing to deploy, 2-1, and then 1st Battalion, 1st Marines is the next up in the chute, and they'll be heading out on deployment in August. So our Marines today within the regiment are absolutely committed to the mission requirements, whether they're in combat or Afghanistan, or the forward presence and crisis response requirements the Marine Corps is so good at. And I'm exceptionally proud of their capabilities, their accomplishments, and their focus and energy on trying to be successful in those missions.
Good to go, sir. And just similar type question. How did you feel when you found out you'd be taking command of such a historic regiment? So,
yeah, the opportunity to take a command of 1st Marine Regiment was perhaps a dream come true for me. As a second lieutenant, I came to the regiment in 1989 and served in 3rd Battalion 1st Marines and participated in Operation Desert Storm, Desert Shield. And then I came back a few years later as a company commander and served in 1st Battalion 1st Marines. So Camp Horno and 1st Marine Regiment is where I cut my teeth as a young Marine officer. And when I was selected for command of a regiment, the only thing I can like it to is coming home for Christmas. It is the ultimate honor and the ultimate privilege. And for me, walking up the stairs and that big picture of Chesty looking at me as I climb the stairs and go to my office is a constant reminder of the history and tradition of the regiment and the importance that I have as its commander to carry on that legacy.
So, and just to make sure I got it correct, you came in 1989.
Yeah, in 1989 I was a lieutenant I was a platoon commander in India Company, 3rd Battalion 1st Marines, and I served in Desert Shield, Desert Storm. And then in 1996 to 1998, I served as a company commander, CO of Bravo Company, 1st Battalion, 1st Marines. And so, unlike a lot of regimental commanders, I'm coming back to my roots. Other regimental commanders don't necessarily get that opportunity.
Yes, sir. This is the last question, so if there was anything you wanted to add or say.
We are hopeful that all Marines who have served within the regiment, who are available here in Southern California, may have the opportunity to stop by or participate in these festivities this 24th and 25th of January. Take the opportunity to join us. There is a great chance for them to interact with today's Marines, to see some of the current technology that the Marines are employing in combat and operational deployments, and to tell their story and tell their part of what they did within the regiment. So we're hopeful for a large turnout, particularly on the Battle Colors rededication ceremony on Friday the 24th, and within Camp Horno when we have the opportunity for old members of the regiment to come and visit their old command post or look at their old barracks or look at the new barracks and see what it's like to live on Camp Horno as a Marine. We're hoping for a great turnout, and we're hoping really to do honor and justice to the first 100 years of 1st Marine Regiment.